The threat scanner went from yellow to crimson in the exact microsecond. Sarah Jackson's hand closed around Zilax's wrist mid-strike, and somewhere in the command center 3 decks up, someone was screaming about quarantine protocols. Lockdown, immediate lockdown, all personnel evacuate training Bay 7. Zilax stood frozen, his training blade suspended centimeters from where Sarah's shoulder had been a heartbeat ago, except she'd moved, impossibly fast, and now held his wrist with the casual grip someone might use to stop a friend from reaching for the last cookie. The alarms shrieked louder. Red emergency lighting bathed the training bay in pulsing crimson. Sarah said, glancing around at the chaos. Was I supposed to let you hit me? According to YouTube analytics, 99.6% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, you'll help support the channel and never miss fresh content. The scanner's display beside the training mat flickered through a dozen recalibrations, species, analysis pending, threat assessment recalculating, combat rating, level 9, level 12, level 17. Potentially. Lethal, immediate containment required. Zilax's throat sacs pulsed in what Sarah had learned meant distress. His 3 eyes were fixed on where her fingers wrapped around his wrist guard. You intercepted. Yeah? Sarah loosened her grip slightly, worried she'd somehow hurt him. I mean, you were winding up for a swing. It seemed pretty obvious. Behind them, the other trainees, 2 Thexians and a Vorlaxian, were scrambling toward the exits with considerably less dignity than their species' military reputations suggested. One of them knocked over an entire equipment rack in their haste. The bay doors burst open. Station Commander Keltas strode in flanked by 6 security officers, all with weapons drawn but clearly uncertain where to point them. His crest feathers were fully extended, the Etherean equivalent of hair standing on end. Step away from the instructor, Keltas commanded, his translator rendering his voice with maximum authority. Trainee Jackson, you are in violation of... He paused, consulting a rapidly updating tablet one of his officers thrust at him. 17 safety protocols, 3 combat regulations, and the fundamental laws of physics as they apply to biological reaction time. Sarah blinked. I'm sorry, what? She released Zilax's wrist. The instructor stumbled backward, cradling his arm as if she'd broken it, though she'd barely been holding on. The strike test, Zilax managed, his voice hoarse, is designed to assess baseline defensive instincts. It takes 0.3 of a second from initiation to completion. Standard response time for new trainees is 0.5 seconds. Too slow to intercept, but enough to demonstrate awareness. Okay, Sarah said slowly. You intercepted at 0.04 seconds. Keltas stared at his tablet like it had personally betrayed him. That is faster than our combat specialists, faster than our instructor corps, faster than species biologically evolved for predatory pursuit. He looked up, his 3 eyes narrowing. What are you? I'm a botanist, Sarah offered, thoroughly confused now. The alarms were giving her a headache. From Michigan. I grow soybeans. I'm here for the agricultural exchange program. The scanner cycled again. Threat level 19. Reassessing. Threat level 23. Commander, one of the security officers called out, mandibles clicking nervously. The scanner's threat scale only goes to 15. I'm aware, Keltas said tightly. So what does 23 mean? It means, the commander said, never taking his eyes off Sarah, that we have a potentially lethal combatant in our training facility who has somehow bypassed every single screening protocol we have. He took a careful step forward. Trainee Jackson. I need you to explain, very clearly, what training you've received. Training? Sarah glanced at Zilax, who was still massaging his wrist. I'm sorry. Did I mess up the test? Should I have moved slower? I've never done this before. Never, Zilax's voice cracked. You've never received combat instruction? No, I mean, I took a self-defense class in college, but that was just like where to kick if someone grabs you and... She paused. Wait, are you guys okay? You all look really freaked out. The scanner updated again, recalibrating all human baseline metrics. Error. Error. Species. Parameters exceed known combat capability ranges. Kael'thas drew himself up to his full height. Impressive for an Etherian, though still shorter than Sarah. In 847 years, this academy has never had a trainee score above threat level 8 without advanced combat training. His crest feathers quivered. You just shattered every record we have while claiming to be a civilian agriculturalist. I grow soybeans, Sarah repeated helplessly. The test continues, Zilak said suddenly, backing toward the equipment wall. I need to understand what just happened. Instructor, that's not... Kael'thas started. She caught my wrist, Commander, mid-strike. Do you understand what that means? I've been teaching combat for 20 cycles. No one catches the strike. No one. Zilak selected another training blade from the rack, his movements sharp with agitation. Species don't just evolve that kind of reaction time without evolutionary pressure. Predator-class pressure. Sarah raised her hand tentatively, like she was back in elementary school. So, did I pass? Pass, Kael'thas repeated, his translator barely keeping up with the rapid clicks of his native language. Trainee Jackson, you don't understand. You can't have done what you just did. Sarah shifted her weight, uncomfortable with the 6 weapons still vaguely pointed in her direction. But I did do it. You all saw me. That's the problem, a new voice said from the doorway. Medical Officer Liranna glided in, her bioscanner already humming as it swept over Sarah. The Valoran's skin patterns flickered through concerned purples and oranges.
Commander, I'm reading neurological processing speeds that shouldn't be possible for a bilateral symmetric organism. Her reaction time isn't just fast. It's operating at what we'd classify as hive mind collective response levels.
I'm not a hive mind, Sarah said. I'm just... Me?
Liranna's scanner beeped insistently. She tapped it twice, frowning. Your visual processing is tracking 17 separate data points simultaneously. Your muscle fiber response is... She looked up sharply. You're a predator-class species. I'm a botanist. Those aren't mutually exclusive, apparently, Zilak muttered, still gripping his training blade. Trainee Jackson, you said the strike was obvious. Explain. Sarah shrugged helplessly. You pulled your arm back, shifted your weight to your rear leg, and your shoulder rotated forward. It's like watching someone wind up to throw a ball. You see it coming. The training bay went silent except for the alarms, which someone finally had the sense to mute. The wind-up, Kael'thas said slowly, lasts 0.08 seconds. Okay. You're telling me you assessed my instructor's stance, predicted his strike trajectory, calculated an intercept path, and executed a counter-movement in less time than it takes most species to register that movement has occurred. When you put it that way, it sounds complicated. Sarah rubbed the back of her neck. I just moved like you do? No, Zilak said flatly, like we do not. Liranna circled Sarah slowly, scanner painting her in layers of diagnostic light. Commander, recommend we run the full combat assessment battery. If she's this far outside baseline parameters, we need to know the extent. I really just came here to learn about crop rotation in low-gravity environments, Sarah said weakly. 20 minutes later, she'd broken 9 more testing records. The peripheral vision test, designed to measure threat awareness in a 180-degree field, had to be recalibrated when Sarah correctly identified objects at 285 degrees. I heard it move, she'd explained, which somehow made it worse. The reaction time assessment had crashed twice when her responses registered faster than the system's measurement capabilities. These lights are pretty slow, she'd noted, wondering why everyone looked ill. The threat assessment simulation, where trainees identified dangers in a complex holographic environment, had been her favorite. Oh, this is like Where's Waldo, she'd said cheerfully.
pointing out all 47 threats in under 30 seconds. The previous record was 3 minutes, finding 19. "This isn't possible," Kael'thas said, staring at the results displayed across multiple screens in the observation room. "Species don't just exist at these performance levels without millions of years of evolutionary pressure." "Earth is classified as a Class 12 death world," Lyrana said quietly, reading from her own terminal. "High predator density, extreme, environmental variance, significant geological instability, dangerous megafauna throughout recorded history." She trailed off. "Oh. Oh," Zilax demanded. "Humans aren't predators despite their environment. They're predators because of it." Lyrana's skin flickered white. Fear. Everything on their planet was trying to kill them. They evolved to be faster, more aware, more reactive than the threats around them. In the training bay below, visible through the observation window, Sarah was chatting with a maintenance drone, completely oblivious to the existential crisis she'd triggered. "Academy protocol," Kael'thas said hoarsely, "requires containment and isolation for anything rating above threat level 7. "She's at 23, one of the security officers reminded him unnecessarily. "I'm aware." The commander's crest feathers lay flat against his skull, exhaustion or defeat. "But protocol was written assuming we'd be containing hostile entities." "She's..." He gestured helplessly at Sarah, who was now helping the maintenance drone reach a high shelf. "She's being helpful." "That might be worse," Zilax said. "If this is a civilian baseline..." "Commander, what happens when we encounter a human who's actually trained for combat?" The question hung in the air like a death sentence. Lyrana's scanner beeped again. "I'm detecting elevated stress hormones from everyone in this room except the human. She's reading as relaxed, possibly bored." Sarah waved up at the observation window, smiling. All 6 security officers took a step backward. "Her background check came back," Lyrana announced, reading from her datapad with increasing disbelief. "Sarah Marie Jackson, born in Lansing, Michigan, Earth. Bachelor's degree in agricultural sciences from Michigan State University. 7 years experience in sustainable farming practices. Current employment, agricultural research assistant specializing in legume cultivation." She looked up. "0 military service. 0 combat training beyond a single semester self-defense course. 0 security clearances. She's exactly what she claims to be." "No," Kael'thas shook his head firmly. "Run it again. Check for military intelligence deep cover, black ops programs, anything classified." "Commander, I've run it 4 times. She grows soybeans." "Soybeans don't move like that." "Apparently, humans who grow soybeans do," Zilax said quietly. He was still watching Sarah through the observation window. She'd found a nail file somewhere and was casually maintaining her cuticles while waiting. If she's baseline civilian and performing at elite combat levels, "Commander, we need to know the ceiling." Kael'thas's crest feathers rippled uncertainly. "You're suggesting..." "Bring in Vexthul." Even Lyrana's skin patterns flickered to alarmed yellow. "Instructor, he's undefeated in over 3,000 combat assessments against trained soldiers. You want to unleash him on a civilian?" "I want to know what we're dealing with," Zilax said. "Because if this is normal for humans, then every threat assessment we've ever conducted is worthless." 30 minutes later, Vexthul stalked into the training bay like violence given form. The Karathian stood nearly 3 meters tall, 4 arms moving in constant, fluid patterns that made predicting his strikes notoriously impossible. His exoskeleton bore the scars of 100 campaigns. He looked at Sarah. Sarah looked up from her nails. "Hi," she said brightly. "Are you here for the testing too?" "You're the human." Vexthul's voice resonated like grinding stone. His compound eyes tracked her with predatory focus. "Guilty." Sarah pocketed her nail file. "So what's the test this time? More of the flashy light things?" "Those were fun." Combat assessment, advanced pattern, 17 strike combination designed to exploit every known biological limitation. Vexthul moved to the center of the training mat. You will not intercept me. Okay, Sarah said agreeably, joining him on the mat. Do I get points for trying, or? Vexthul attacked. 4 arms blurred through strike patterns developed over centuries of Karathian military evolution. High, low, feint, redirect, each strike flowing into the next with mechanical precision and organic unpredictability. The pattern had a 94% success rate against trained combatants. Sarah swayed backward from the first strike, tilted her head to avoid the second, and casually stepped around the third while pulling out her nail file again. In the observation room, Kael'thas's translator gave up trying to render his native language's expletives. Strike 4 through 9 came faster. Sarah dodged them all while filing her left thumbnail. Her movements were economical, almost lazy. She shifted just enough to let each strike pass, never breaking her focus on her manicure. Your shoulder dips before the overhead, she commented, not looking up from her nails. And you favor your lower left arm for body strikes. It's pretty obvious once you see the pattern. Vexthul's strikes became faster, desperate, all 4 arms working in combinations that should have been impossible to track, let alone evade. Sarah yawned. The 17th strike, Vexthul's legendary finisher, the one that had ended 3,000 consecutive assessments, whistled through empty air. Sarah had shifted her weight slightly, leaning just far enough back that the strike missed by millimeters. Sorry, she said, examining her nails critically. Were those supposed to be harder? You guys keep telegraphing your moves, like, a lot. Vexthul stood frozen, all 4 arms still extended in his finishing pose. His compound eyes were wide, the Karathian equivalent of shock. Zilax couldn't finish the sentence. Impossible, Lirana whispered. She wasn't even looking at him for half of those strikes. Kael'thas sat down heavily, his legs apparently deciding they were done supporting him. Our entire combat doctrine is based on the physical limitations of 40 known spacefaring species. Reaction times, visual processing, kinesthetic awareness, threat assessment, all calibrated to known biological parameters. And humans laugh at those parameters while filing their nails, Zilax finished. On the training mat, Sarah raised her hand tentatively. So, did I pass this time? Because I really do have plants to water. They're on a schedule and she glanced at her watch. I'm supposed to check the hydroponic pH levels in like 20 minutes. The scanner display updated one final time, reassessing all human applications. Extreme security risk. Recommend immediate protocol revision. She has plants to water, Kael'thas said numbly. Vexthul slowly lowered his arms. In 300 years of combat instruction, he said quietly, I have never missed my 17th strike. There's a first time for everything, Sarah called cheerfully. You're really good though, super intimidating. The 4-arm thing is neat. She's complimenting me, Vexthul said, sounding faintly horrified. Or, she beat you while doing her nails, Zilax corrected, and she's complimenting you about it. The Galactic Combat Council's emergency holographic session materialized around the training bay, with the kind of urgency usually reserved for declarations of war. 12 species' highest military authorities flickered into existence, their expressions ranging from concerned to openly panicked. Explain, demanded Council Prime Zorahex, a Velcoran whose tentacles writhed with agitation. Why have we been pulled from strategic planning sessions to discuss a single trainee? Kael'thas gestured to the screens displaying Sarah's test results. Because that single trainee has just invalidated every combat assessment protocol we have. Sarah, still on the training mat, waved awkwardly at the assembled holograms. Hi, I'm really sorry about all this. The human defeated Vexthul, Zilax said, his voice still shell-shocked, without looking at him, while grooming herself. The council chamber erupted in multiple languages. Translators struggled to keep pace with the overlapping disbelief. Vexthul is undefeated. Impossible biological parameters. Security breach. Must be enough. Zora Six's translator cut through the chaos. She fixed her primary eye on Sarah. Human. Explain how you accomplish this. Sarah shrugged helplessly. I just moved? Back home, this is just reflexes? Reflexes, Lirana interjected, pulling up her bioscans for the council. Operating at speeds we've only seen in species with distributed nervous systems or cybernetic enhancement, except she's entirely biological, natural. But I'm not special, Sarah protested. This is just, my brother's faster than me. He played baseball in high school. Baseball? Counselor Jotaro leaned forward, his scales shifting to curious blue. Yeah, it's a sport. Someone throws a small ball really fast, like 90 miles per hour, and you have to hit it with a wooden stick. Kids do it for fun. Sarah pulled out her phone, showed them a video. See? That's my nephew. He's 8. He can track and hit a ball moving at, she did quick mental math. About 40 meters per second? The council went silent. Your children, Zora Hicks said slowly, train their combat reflexes, recreationally. What? No, it's just a game. Sarah paused, seeing their expressions. Oh, you guys you don't have to dodge stuff all the time, do you? No, Kael'thas said quietly. We don't. Earth is a Class 12 death world, Sarah said, understanding dawning. That's not just about the environment, is it? That's about... She trailed off, thinking. Okay, so back home, we've got venomous snakes that hide in grass, spiders in your shoes, bears that can outrun cars, falling trees, flash floods, lightning, things falling off shelves, other humans throwing things at your head in gym class. She counted on her fingers. We kind of spend our whole lives dodging stuff that wants to kill us or just randomly falls on us. Millions of years, Lirana breathed, her scans suddenly making horrifying sense. Humans spent millions of years evolving on a planet actively trying to kill them. They didn't just develop tool use or intelligence. They developed predator-level reflexes as a survival mechanism. Everything I did today, Sarah said slowly. You guys, you can't do that? Our fastest combat specialists, Vex Thul rumbled, with decades of training, approach your civilian baseline. Oh. Sarah sat down on the training mat. How do you catch things, or dodge cars, or play sports? We don't have reflexes like yours, Zilax explained. Our planets didn't require them. We developed technology, cooperation, intelligence, but not constant physical threat awareness. Your slow Tuesday, Kael'thas said, is our peak military performance. Counselor Jotaro was rapidly calculating on a datapad. If one untrained human civilian performs at elite military levels, and Earth's population is approximately 8 billion. We're not all fighters, Sarah interjected quickly. Most of us just want to, grow crops and watch TV but you could be, Zora Six interrupted. Every human has this capability. Yeah? I guess. Sarah fidgeted with her nail file. But we don't want to fight. That's why I'm here learning about agriculture. I like plants. They don't try to kill you. Usually, she added after a pause. Some of them do, actually. Poison ivy, thorns, allergies. Your plants also try to kill you? Lirana asked weakly. Not aggressively, mostly passively. The council exchanged glances. Zora Hicks's tentacles had stopped writhing. Always a bad sign. Academy protocols are completely inadequate for human assessment. We need entirely new frameworks. The question, Kael'thas said, carefully, is whether Trainee Jackson passes or fails. She has to pass, Vex Thul said immediately. Everyone turned to stare at him. What? If she fails and goes home, Earth might think we're hostile to humans. Better to have her here where we can. He paused. Learn from her? Plus, I really do want to learn about zero-gravity crop rotation, Sarah added hopefully. I promise I won't break any more records. I'll try to be slower. Please don't, Liana said quickly. We need to understand your normal parameters, not artificial limitations. Zora X made a decision. Sarah Jackson passes all assessments. Welcome to the Agricultural Exchange Program. Her tentacles coiled tightly. And someone update Earth's file from potential ally to critical strategic partner. Do not antagonize. 2 hours later, Sarah finally made it to the botanical laboratory with an escort of 3 security officers who kept a nervous 5-meter distance. Behind her, the Academy was implementing what Kailtas had officially designated human protocols in a fleet-wide emergency directive. A separate threat assessment scale, one that actually went high enough to measure human baseline, was being coded. Every department head was in emergency meetings. The entire combat curriculum was under review. Trainee Jackson, Kailthas had caught her in the corridor, his crest feathers lying flat in what she'd learned was embarrassment. I need to formally apologize for threatening you with basic strikes during assessment. Had I known... Sarah had laughed, the sound startling 2 passing maintenance drones. You weren't threatening me. That was the test, right? You were supposed to try to hit me. That's literally what tests do. Yes, but Kailtas had struggled with the concept. It was inadequate, insulting even. It was fine. You guys were great. She'd patted his shoulder gently after seeing him flinch. Really, A+ testing, very thorough. Now, in the blessed quiet of the botanical lab, Sarah was finally examining the hydroponic systems when Liana appeared in the doorway, scanner humming. Can the alarms stop now? Sarah asked without looking up from a particularly healthy tomato plant. I've had a headache for like an hour. The alarms are off, Liana said carefully. That's just the scanner recalibrating. It'll need to do that whenever you're nearby, permanently. Oh, Sarah frowned at a yellowing leaf. That seems annoying for you guys. Less annoying than not knowing when a potentially lethal entity enters a room. Liana's skin flickered to amused green. That's your official classification now, by the way. Every human application to the Academy is being flagged with potentially lethal, expect extreme performance variance. That's a weird way to say good at dodging stuff, Sarah muttered, adjusting a grow light. Are the other humans still coming? Please say yes. I need someone to talk to who doesn't look at me like I might explode. Fast-tracked as of 20 minutes ago, Liana consulted her datapad. Though now, with significantly more warning labels and separate orientation protocols, and dedicated training facilities that can actually measure their capabilities. She paused. Zilax is redesigning the entire combat curriculum. Vexthul has requested a rematch for professional closure. 3 different military branches have requested human combat consultants. Combat consultants? I grow soybeans. Soybeans that apparently required predator-level awareness to successfully cultivate. Only if you count deer, they eat everything. Sarah moved to the next planter. Earth's not that dangerous. We've got hospitals and cities and safety regulations. Most humans never even see a bear. But you could dodge one if you had to. Well, yeah, but... Sarah caught a datapad that Liana had accidentally knocked off the counter, snatching it from the air without looking up from her plants. Liana froze. Her skin went pure white. What? Sarah glanced up, finally noticing the medical officer's expression. She looked at the datapad in her hand. Oh, sorry. Did you want this to fall? Was that a test, too? No, it slipped. Liana took a shaky breath. You caught it. You weren't even looking. It was pretty loud when it started falling, and I could see it in my peripheral vision. Sarah handed the datapad back. Are you okay? You look kind of pale. Well, paler. More white-colored. In the corridor outside, 2 of the security officers had drawn weapons before realizing there was no actual threat. They holstered them sheepishly. Liana managed a weak laugh. Humans, you're going to give the entire galaxy collective anxiety disorders. We're really not that scary, Sarah protested, turning back to her plants. Plants don't freak out when I move fast. See? They're very calm, peaceful. No one's having existential crises about reaction times. The plants can't process what you are, Lirana pointed out. Exactly. Best audience ever. Sarah smiled at a thriving pepper plant. You know what Earth needs? More plants, fewer predators. Then maybe future humans won't be so twitchy. Please don't change, Lirana said softly. The galaxy needs humans exactly as terrifying as you are. Terrifying? Right. The girl who cried over a broken flower pot last week is terrifying. You're terrifying because you don't know you are. Somewhere in the Academy's administrative offices, the new motto was being officially drafted: expect the impossible, especially from humans. In the command center, Kael'thas was updating Earth's diplomatic file again, adding notes about ideal alliance conditions and, more importantly, scenarios to absolutely avoid conflict. And in the botanical lab, Sarah hummed cheerfully while checking soil moisture levels, completely unaware that she'd just rewritten galactic military doctrine before lunch. Hey, she called to Lirana, do you think the cafeteria has coffee? I'm gonna need caffeine if I have to fill out more paperwork about the incident. The incident where you defeated our best combat instructor while doing your nails? That's the one. Lirana's skin shifted through several colors before settling on resigned purple. I'll show you to the cafeteria, but please, walk slowly and don't catch anything falling. Sarah grinned. Got it. I'll try to be less terrifying. Somehow, Lirana said, I don't think that's possible.